UNPAVED, Sean Salisbury here. We're bringing authentic, real stuff to you. Hardcore opinion.
Sean Salisbury, former NFL quarterback.
29-year-old Sean Salisbury, his second start as a National Football League quarterback.
Segs, you're probably gonna have to start this. I don't know, man. My lighting's all messed up. I don't even know. I'm Sean. That's Adam. And always my favorite way to start a show when my face is you can't see shit and you can't hear. But I imagine we'll work our way through. Great to be on with you, man. Great to be on with you. Technology and me, I just as soon throw the computer against the wall. But other than that, everything's good, man.
Yeah, everything's going good. Technology at its greatest. I've got storms of. They're letting kids out of school early because of the storms. We got tornadoes coming in the next hour, couple hours, something along those lines. Your technology won't work. Not a great start to the show today for Unpaved, but we've got a ton to talk about. It's day 2 of NFL free agency, and we've got a superstar that we talked about yesterday. Maybe where will he end up? Well, now we know where he ends up. The Texans, in my opinion, continue to be the Texans. We'll talk about them in a second. The Steelers are making moves, but what about the most important position? A lot to get to today, plus a bunch of other signings and trades that have happened in the NFL. But let's start in San Francisco, Sean. Mike Evans, Tampa Bay Bucs legend, always had 1,000 yards basically every single season he's been in the NFL. Future Hall of Famer. Well, he heads out to San Francisco. He says it was not about the money. He gets a max. The max the contract can be is 3 years, $60.4 million. So still getting $20 million a year. What was your first reaction when you saw that Mike Evans was leaving the Bucs, in fact, and he's heading west to the San Francisco 49ers?
Bummer, but anybody that's soft-hearted enough to think that guys spend time with their same team their whole career just doesn't happen. It didn't happen with Brady. It didn't happen with Manning. It didn't happen with Warren Moon. It doesn't happen with Mike Evans. You would love it. It's all sentimental, but you got to put it aside. After that, bummer for Tampa. It's one team's loss is another team's gain. Worth every penny. First ballot Hall of Famer in my mind. San Francisco's receiving core has been up and down with whether it's a contract, an injury. I mean, I'm talking about where it's you've now got a guy on your roster. They've got good players. Don't misunderstand me, but injuries have befell them the last couple years on a regular basis, which has been well discussed and ad nauseum across the league. I think this brings a veteran leadership. I think he'll teach young receivers how to work. And it's not just he's not there to shake hands and glad hand and kiss babies. He's productive. The guy's been productive every friggin' year of his career. While he gets older, he's still got it. And the 49ers are smart. They're not paying a guy this kind of money to come in and, pat some dude on the back and say, I'm your third receiver. You should expect 80-plus catches. You should expect 1,000-plus yards and 10 TDs or more. He elevates the passing game. We know that they got a passing game also with McCaffrey out of the backfield running the football. I think it's a great get. I do. It'll end up being underrated on the big scope because people say, well, Mike's aging and the rest of it. You took a pro away from Tampa. You signed him to a 49er team who needs to upgrade that position depth-wise and with some star power. And when they get healthy, this is a great get for a 49ers. You got to keep up with Seattle. You got to keep up with the Rams.
Yep.
It is not an easy division, and Arizona should be better depending on quarterback play and what they do, the rest of the offseason and draft. So I like it, and I think the 49ers upgraded their roster. Bummer to see Mike leave, but he's got a better chance of playing in February again here than he does in Tampa, and that's no disrespect to Tampa. San Francisco's just a better team.
Yeah, and, Juwan Jennings is a free agent as of right now, has not returned to the 49ers. We'll see if he does. You add Mike Evans to Ricky Pearsall, who, you know, is a young, oncoming wide receiver that I think can be at least a good complement to Mike Evans. But there's no doubt that Mike Evans walks into San Francisco as their wide receiver one. He is the clear-cut number one wide receiver on that roster. You add him to George Kittle. You mentioned Christian McCaffrey. Brock Purdy has better weapons because the couple that they've gotten rid of lately, Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel, kind of turned out to be good players, but turned out to be turds and someone you didn't want on your roster. And San Francisco couldn't wait to get rid of those two. So what do? You go out and get maybe the best teammate, the guy that you would really want on your squad. Oh, and he's a better wide receiver when healthy, and Mike Evans.
There's one thing you're never going to have to worry about with him coming in and being a turd. You're never going to have to worry about him being a self-proclaimed, you know, look at me. He's never going to be a self-promoter. He's just going to play, and he's going to kick ass and do what Mike Evans has done every year. And if things aren't going well, there won't be any excuses. He'll go back to work. I just think this is a really pro get. And for a guy like Brock Purdy in his situation, we know that there's some physical limitations, but he's a really good player. This gives him, I'm trying to think through my mind, not counting the Kittle and McCaffrey out of the backfield. This is his best receiver since he's been there. Even at, I mean, and surely the most professional. And there's some guys, I don't want to lump them all into the same category in San Francisco, but between injuries and contract stalling talks, and I want traded, I want more money, you're bringing a guy in at $20 million that just makes you better. And if you're Brock Purdy, this is a really good blessing, because I think a lot of people thought it was a foregone conclusion that Mike was going to stick around Tampa and just finish it there.
Yeah, I thought so.
3-year deal. Mike didn't sign a 1-year deal. Mike signed a 3-year deal because he knows what he believes he's got that kind of game. And sometimes a change of venue can add life to your legs and to your body and to your mind. And I think this will do that for Mike. Not that he needs it, but just that elevation to get to another level, because now he comes in. And when we look at the odds, I don't know what they are right now, Segs. I haven't looked. But when you look at the teams that are going to be favored in the NFC, the San Francisco 49ers, a healthy 49er team, will be in the team picture. This is an upgrade, and this is a good get.
Yeah. Now, one thing that's been discussed, that's been reported, is for the San Francisco 49ers to possibly look at either trading or cutting Trent Williams because of all the money he makes. He's 38. Still arguably the best offensive lineman in football, even at 38 years old. You know, we sit here, we're the flagship of the Texans. We've talked about how bad they need offensive line help. Should the Texans look at trading probably a mid-round pick? It's not going to cost you, I don't think, a first or a second-round pick. I think I would guess a third or a fourth for Trent Williams. If you're the Texans, would you make that deal and have to make up some money? And if you have to take Ariante Ursary and play him at guard for a year or two while Trent Williams is there, he's going to learn a shit ton. And hopefully then when Trent Williams retires or whatever it is, he could step into that learning everything he just learned and take over that spot for the next decade.
Listen, it's okay if you're a young player to get beat out and move positions for a guy who's better than you and who makes your roster better.
Hall of Fame.
Listen, we could go through a number of teams that should stand in line for Trent Williams. This is going to be a 5-year deal. This is going to be a 2-year type deal, 3-year deal max, whether he finishes out the deal. That's fine. But for the next 2 years, you're going to get a staple at left tackle. You're going to get a dominant, nasty player on the field who's going to show up. If you were talking about a offensive line room that needs to be able to turn their head and say, oh, that's the pro. The Texans offensive line could use this, by signing Ed Ingram, by continuing to work in that space and try to upgrade their position, not only around the offensive line, but getting people for it. And then you bring in what is arguably, if he ain't one, he ain't three when it comes to the best left tackles in the league. I think it'd be awesome. And Segs, what we say, no first rounder, no second rounder, probably a third rounder. If you get into that negotiation, don't let a third-round draft pick be the reason you did not trade for him. And the connection between the 49ers and D'Amico Ryans and all that, there's a pipeline to at least open discussions with this, with Nick Caserio. So hell yes. If you're the Texans, aren't you one of the 2 or 3 teams that are on the cusp, that are looking for a player or two? Defensively, they're set. They go and sign safety from Philadelphia, sign Ed Ingram. they're upgrading, but the one thing that still's not dominant, you got yourself a back in the backfield that can thump. You got some players that can get this done. Now you go and trade for Trent Williams. If they ask for a third, give it to them. Give it to them. One in the hand's better than what the third rounder may be, if that's what the case is, if that's what they're asking. Maybe the 49ers will ask for more, negotiate that. Get them in, pay them, restructure however you need to. Because when you're on the cusp, what I mean on the cusp is you're that team, and there's probably 2 or 3 of them in the league, that they're one step away or 2 players away from being a real threat to November. Defense loaded. Running back position got better. The wide receiver position, getting Tank Dell back when he comes back. Nico Collins. 2 young guys from Florida State. They're better there, Segs. They've got, and they're going to even be better. A quarterback that needs to upgrade. And what's the best confidence for upgrade? Running game, strengthen your receiver position, which they've done, and grab yourself a left tackle that's going to be in Canton when all is said and done. Yes, you milk these 2 years, and if you got to overpay a little, not even in the money, I'm talking about in the trade, go for it. You're not giving up a 1. You may have to argue over a 2, and maybe a 3 becomes a 2 if he plays 80% of the snaps or however that works. Yes, and you're not going to be the only one trying to do this. But if you are the Texans, get out in front of it and close this out, because that will make your offseason. You went and got Montgomery. You shored up your hopefully your receiver game. You're trying to add depth on the offensive line. You're a dominant defense. Hopefully Stroud takes the next step. And the one thing that's caused him to be a little gun shy and not be the consistent guy we saw as a rookie is his eyes are seeing the pass rush and he's a little skittish in the pocket. Fix it. If you fix that, watch Stroud's game elevate again. And with the play action and the run game and a coordinator who now will be in his second year of calling plays, what's not to like? If you're the Texans, this is a deal I think you have to make if it's available to you.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. How do you feel so far, though, with the Texans? You know, we've sat in here and we've talked about them a lot. This offensive line right now, the left tackle, center, right guard, right tackle are the exact same 4 players. And you don't have a left guard right now on your roster. And yet here we keep seeing offensive linemen come off the board. And Texans have a little bit of money. They've made some moves to clear some cap space, which we know you can do in this league. Are you surprised that they haven't been more aggressive to upgrade? Now, Ed Ingram's a good, solid player, but Trent Brown at right tackle, you'll bring him back at what's between $6 and $7 million. I don't know that I agree with what Nick Caserio's doing while he's going out and giving Reed Blankenship a nice little contract. He signed Dominique Robinson as a backup edge rusher. You mentioned Dalton Schultz, and Danielle Hunter both got re-upped. But I don't know if you saw, their contracts got denied by the NFL. So Nick Caserio's doing something wrong with these contracts, or whoever runs the contracts there with the Texans did something wrong, and now they got to figure out those contracts again and figure out what's wrong with them. If it's something small and not. I mean, you're supposed to be a professional at this, and you got multiple contracts being denied by the league. I just don't know that I like what Nick Caserio's doing with this roster right now, and it starts with that offensive line that we've talked about a million times.
You know what's crazy? 3 years in a row playoffs. They've upgraded defensively to the point, don't waste this defense. Right. I'm just telling you, if you continue to do this in 3 years, this defense won't look the same. That's just the nature of the NFL.
Can't pay them all.
Right. It's just the nature of it. And some already got paid. Some are going to want to get paid. And that other edge rusher, he's going to want his. Quarterback's going to want his. Even if he's not, worthy of $55 million or $60, he's going to want it. And he's going to ask for it.
That's $100 million between those 2 players every single year. $100 million.
Yeah, he's going to get it. So whatever that contract is when it comes to the quarterback and edge rusher, and you drafted them in the same year, and they're both looking for paydays. To me, yeah, it's a little odd because I don't know what the plan is. You can't you got rid of the last 2 years. You got rid of, and I understand why. You got rid of Laramie Tunsil. I understand why. Penalties. Titus Howard has moved, never got to settle into one position for his entire career. Yet the last 2 years has been the guy who's been their, what should I say, their bell cow on offensive line because he's played 16, 17 games. He's been their most durable. So with that, what's the plan? You're going to draft somebody in the NFL draft that you hope a rookie can come in and play as an offensive lineman if the guy you want's still there. He's not Trent Williams. So to me, if you're adding, you signed Danielle Hunter, you're starting to pay people. What's the one thing that we have for 3 years that has been consistent? Certain things have Dow Jonesed up and down. The one thing that's been consistent is an offensive line that every year at the end of the year, we're talking about what are they going to do to get better? If you're going into the 2026 season asking the same damn question, then you're going to get the same damn response and more than likely the same damn performance.
Right.
So, and I'm going to tell you, Rep, it's amazing, and I've seen it and lived it. When one guy who is a bell cow player for you, how he elevates the rest of the guys in the room. Now, Tunsil had a chance to do that. The problem is Tunsil couldn't hold his water in a three-point stance and would jump off sides 15, 16, 17 times a year with pre-snap penalties. Trent Williams didn't go to do that. Matter of fact, if Trent Williams was on the same team and Laramie Tunsil was, and he was doing that, he'd probably horse-collared him by the back of the jersey and said, either go sit your ass down or be a pro. And Tunsil's a good player. So think Tunsil at his best, times it times 3, and that's what you get at Trent Williams, even at this age. If you have a chance to get him and you don't, then what message are you sending? And secondly, what is your offensive line answer? Because if you think this is a Super Bowl offensive line, good, not great, then you're making a mistake. And we've seen what offensive lines that can't protect their quarterback do, not only to the quarterback, but do to your Super Bowl chances. Call up Cincinnati and ask them what was the problem with them in Super Bowl. They got beat. If you can't block a front seven, you can't go to the Super Bowl. And if you get there, you're going to get your ass kicked. To me, Trent Williams becomes one of the most important signings for anybody, let alone a Texans team that in truth is a quarterback production, a dominant offensive line away, and some health from being a legitimate AFC Super Bowl. The AFC is right to be taken over.
Yeah.
It just is. So if you don't want to look around, who's getting better? If you're not the Texans, if you ain't getting better, guess what you're doing? Moving back towards the pack. You don't want to do it. I can't remember a time, even though there's really great quarterbacks, where the AFC has been in a position, Sags, where it is legit, where you're not saying going in, Buffalo's beatable. Baltimore's proven they're beatable. The Steelers aren't as dominant. The Bengals have struggles. Go out west, the Chargers have proven that they can't stay healthy, and their offensive lines had some issues. I mean, you start to look, and they've, losing coaches. You start to look around. You tell me this team's not prime and ripe for a run?
Right.
And they've already had part of the run. They just got to finish the marathon. Trent Williams would be a good piece to finish it.
Yeah, it definitely would. All right, moving on to another team that's made a couple moves. An offense that was lackluster last year, even despite their veteran quarterback. The Steelers traded for Michael Pittman of the Indianapolis Colts, late round swap to go along with Pittman, so he heads to Pittsburgh. They signed Rico Dowdle, the running back. This is two good moves for this offense that has DK Metcalf, Pat Freiermuth, has some weapons worth, noting. But again, same question, who's playing quarterback? Should Aaron Rodgers return for another year? Should they be looking at a Kyler Murray? Should they be setting their sights on Ty Simpson in the draft? Where do you think the Pittsburgh Steelers should be looking in their first year without Mike Tomlin?
Well, they're going to have to find a quarterback for the road down the road. They just are. You're going to have to develop somebody. So I don't know where you get. They've tried, but it's just been this guy, veteran, rookie. Go get former first-round picks. Go get guys who've won Super Bowl rings. Russ Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, Fields. Now, Aaron's obviously the best. I think the Mike McCarthy get buys Aaron another year. I do. Had they brought in somebody that his philosophy was completely different and was too hardcore for Aaron to want to deal with at this stage of his career, I think he walks. I even said during the fall, I said, I'll be shocked if that wasn't his last game under the circumstances. And now knowing Mike Tomlin was out and Aaron loves and respects him, they bring in a guy to say, can we get you for another? Aaron can still throw it. Last year, they went out and got body Segs. They traded for Metcalf.
Yeah.
They did, and we thought, okay, they've upgraded. But for the first time in a long time, the Pittsburgh's defense was kind of blah. They couldn't dominate you in the run game. So they go get a guy in Dowdell, and I know that's Pittman, but who can, Segs, he's a good player. This is a guy who really upgrades your run game. He does. And then the Colts, shockingly, and I don't know if they don't want to pay, but Colts are they're getting closer, and you let your one of your best, and I know they can't pay both of them. I get
Yeah.
that, Stakes. But you let a guy who's a really good player get away. That's another upgrade. Now, if Metcalf doesn't elevate his game, then I'm just going to say he's starting to get to the point of wash if he doesn't start to elevate. Now he's got another top flight receiver. They've got some good run game. They have elevated. If you're Aaron Rodgers, this Mike McCarthy makes you think, okay, the last time I won a Super Bowl was with that cat. And now you think, okay, Mike knows how I think. Mike's been in this league for a long time. Obviously, I'm sure he'd like Aaron, but they need a quarterback down the road. Don't worry about it. In 2026, Aaron Rodgers is more than likely going to be starting quarterback at Pittsburgh. What I don't like is the weight on the commitment. I know it's his career and his life, but at some point, shock us, because I'm an Aaron Rodgers fan, but shock us and say, hell yeah, I'm going back. Pittman, Dowdell, we're going to refix this, and I'm going to be a part of it. Give it one more big run. These are two good gets on offense but doesn't this tell you, Segs, that they're leaning towards that the Rodgers buzz is that he's coming back, so you continue to upgrade him, which should make Metcalf better. Some of these guys disappeared last year, and having Aaron there, you don't have to do a lot of worrying. There's no learning curve for Aaron Rodgers, verbiage-wise or anybody else. They have to continue, get Aaron Rodgers back, and somewhere in the next year or so, find a way to spend some money or a draft pick and a high one to go find in next year's class to be good. I'm not sure you're finding the guy in this year's class that's your future, Segs. You may get lucky with the second or third round pick. Next year's the year. I believe Aaron Rodgers is back. I believe Dowdell and Michael Pittman helped that. And I believe that the fact that Mike McCarthy's there, give Aaron Rodgers a little juice in the offseason to say, you know what, I can run this back one more year, because what they're doing tells me that they believe in what I'm doing. And having Mike McCarthy back tells you we want you happy. Aaron Rodgers will be the starting quarterback, I believe, for the Steelers. And I'm sure maybe they know that already by upgrading the offense, saying, let's give it one more run. But I'm going to tell you, they got to get back to playing the defense they played in the past. Last year, it wasn't it. So they got to find a way to elevate that performance as well to get back to the Steelers we know, which is making it miserable on quarterbacks and offenses.
Yeah, definitely. I think the Rico Dowdle, Jalen Warren duo, I think will help Mike McCarthy kind of lean on that run game a lot more than they could last year with just Jalen Warren.
And he's a good player, but this is upgrade things.
Yeah. So, I mean, that combo, and that's what it's about in the NFL right now. It's a combo. Yeah, you have your Saquons and your Christian McCaffreys, your Derrick Henrys, but most teams are going with that two-headed monster where, you know, hopefully one's getting 15 to 18 and the other one's getting about 10 to 12 carries. And that's the way they do that. And that's what the Steelers now have with Dowdle and Warren. Speaking of running backs, we saw the Lions trade David Montgomery to the Texans for a draft pick. Now the Lions go out and sign former Chiefs running back Isaiah Pacheco. How do you like this fit in Detroit as they try and fill that hole that David Montgomery leaves? And again, talking running back duos, this gives you a Jahmyr Gibbs, who is your clear-cut number one, with paired with Isaiah Pacheco. Thoughts on the signing there?
Segs, to me, this is, you lose one to gain. I mean, I hold Montgomery in high regard. I do.
Mm-hmm.
But we know Detroit obviously understands who Jahmyr Gibbs is, and I don't know a player in the league that gets to the edge quicker than he does and turns that corner. But what they've done is they've added that ice and fire, outside, inside, thump. This guy, when he is healthy, Pacheco, he has a little bit of, take some from those. He's got a little bit of, there's a running angry, I guess is what, with intention. Think about when Mixon was at his best, when Joe's going. He can take you outside, but he pounds inside the tackles and punishes your ass. Pacheco's a punisher. He's a thumper. And so you've got great speed on the edge with Jahmyr Gibbs. And then when you need a 4-minute drill at the end and you need somebody, hey, man, we just need 3 yards, pound it, beat them into submission, soften them up, even if it's in the first half, bam, get Gibbs going on the edge. Yes, Gibbs is the one, but Isaiah Pacheco brings some physicality to it. And Detroit continues to need that. We know their offensive line's solid. Pacheco, this is a good get, Segs, for a guy who won't have to carry it 25 times a game. We know who that bell cow is. But, man, for that 10 or 12 or 15 at times, or that you're in a game where it's like, we got to pound him into submission and kill this clock, this is a good get. And Kansas City liked him when he was at his best. They go out and get an upgrade at their position. I think this is really good for Detroit, and understanding Pacheco knows this role. and this role will be to wear inside front sevens out, and I like it.
Yeah, I think he's just he's going to be a cheaper version of David Montgomery.
He's got to stay healthy, Sig.
Yes, he's got to stay healthy for sure. I don't think he's quite the running back David Montgomery is, but again, the offset and money and knowing that you're going to give Jahmyr Gibbs the ball a little bit more, that makes it worth it for the Detroit Lions.
There's no doubt. This is you've taken a little bit of step back losing Montgomery and Pacheco. But without Pacheco and just Jahmyr Gibbs, that workload physicality becomes too much for him. This is good. It's a guy who could touch it 25 times a game, but you're not going to want him to do that. You want Jahmyr Gibbs to do that. But you just need the guy that can come in and spell you for a series or 2 plays. They did that great when both Montgomery and Gibbs were there. Listen, you've added a guy. At least you filled some of that gap by the loss of Montgomery, and it's a physical one when he's healthy.
Yeah. Before we go to our commercial, let's hit one more topic here. Saints add Travis Etienne. Continue this running back theme we got going right now. They add him to the roster. Kind of has made teams call New Orleans and say, hey, can we get the end of that career of Alvin Kamara, bringing him in to our fold? It'll be interesting to see what the Saints do here because they are very similar players, Kamara and the running back Travis Etienne. So are you thinking that the Saints will trade another player in Alvin Kamara, who's been with their team his entire career, has put up huge numbers in the past? Do you think the signing of Etienne spells the end for Alvin Kamara in New Orleans?
Segs, maybe. I'm not sure what Mickey Loomis and their approach is going to be if they say, well, we've added Etienne, but having Kamara there, who is a 3-down back, who is really good. When he's at his best, think a guy who catches it out of the backfield and that doesn't have to leave the field, that can run option routes and in the screen game and is really good. He's been a versatile player that can do it all for you. Catch it, run it. He's good in the pass game. You can spread him out. You can run him. He doesn't just need 12 or 15. He can touch the ball a lot. I don't know, Segs. I don't know what they'd get for him. If I'm the Saints, I'd like to keep him. You've upgraded the running back position. Your quarterback, you feel pretty good about where you're going with Shook.
Yeah.
And Segs, watching them was a tough watch last year until the last 5 or 6 games. They started to elevate. But the explosion, we haven't seen the explosion or the efficiency since Drew Brees and Sean Payton left. We just haven't. But this is a chance now. They've got a head coach that loves it, Segs. That wants to run it, wants to throw it, wants to spread it. He's been able to do that in Dallas, was able to do it in Philadelphia as coordinator. He's looking to get guys who allow him to do what Kellen Moore always wants to do. Spread it out, throw the ball, play off play action, and let's push it down the field. I think he thinks he's found his quarterback, and I do too. This is an upgrade. I'm not so sure they're going to pass off Kamara, but depending on and Segs, remember, salary cap wise, there's Derek Carr's money still looms, right, Segs? Yeah. There's that. Now I don't know, Segs, the ins and outs of when a guy says he retires, what that does, and if Carr comes back, what that, you know what I'm saying? I don't. Yeah. The percentage of money, because had he kept playing and people you couldn't change, it was like $50,000 cap hit, and you just couldn't do it. So, however, that part of the depth that a capologist has to figure out. The Saints are on the rise in a division that Tampa came back to the pack. Atlanta's had to find a new coach. Who am I leaving out? Carolina. The truth of the matter is the Carolina Panthers and the Saints are stepping their game up a little bit. So and Bryce, Young has started to play well, and now we see with Shook there. So I'm not sure. I don't want to give Kamara away, but money comes into play. If I could use them both, it'd be great. But they need an explosive side at the wide receiver. They got to continue to upgrade and elevate offensively, so they can keep up in the NFC, because the NFC is harder than the AFC. Just is overall, better teams. So, but that's a winnable division. This is a good gives you versatility, but it may be a person where you can go out and get a draft pick for Kamara if that's the case.
Yeah, and it feels like to me, it feels like the Saints are probably still one more year away. Get Shook another year of playing, get Olave back healthy, add some players in the draft. And you mentioned the cap space. They're finally, remember that every year they were just in cap hell. They just had to keep restructuring all these contracts just to field a team to go out and get their ass kicked every year. Well, Now they're finally clear of that. This offseason, they finally got clear of that cap hell they were in. I think one more year of the good draft, add some pieces in free agency, get some more weapons for Tyler Shough. I think this could be a very fun team in the future and compete in that division for sure.
You know what, Sigs, in that division even right now, from seeing them elevate 100%, but you win 9 games in that division, you may win it.
Yeah.
You may very well win that division at 9-8. You get to 10 and you're like, man, we're sitting fairly pretty unless somebody shocks us and Carolina goes and wins 12 games this year. But it is not only a winnable division by all 4, but it is a winnable division that you set the sights, you get to 10 in that division, you may very well have won it.
Yeah. All right. When we come back from our quick commercial, we're going to talk Cowboys. We're going to talk Colts. What's going on in Indy with Daniel Jones and other moves in NFL free agency. But first, tell me I got Augusta Precious Metals. Augusta Precious Metals.
Guys, when you're protecting what you've already earned, IRA, 401k, it's not taxed when it comes to gold and silver and precious metals. Let's discuss moving forward how you're going to protect what you've already earned. Protect what matters most with gold and silver. Augusta Precious Metals is your premier gold IRA company. Diversify, protect, preserve, hedge against inflation. That's what this does. Precious metals, they are tangible assets. Protect retirement savings. That retirement you've already earned, is cash doing that? Physical gold and silver, education first approach, no sales tactics at Augusta Precious Metals. That's why I was drawn to them. Drawn to them because they're not pressuring you and hammering you over the head with something. They're trying to educate you so you know what's best for you, your family, your peace of mind, your security now, later, and in the distant future. How much time you have, how much money you have. Precious Metals. It's your premier gold IRA company. That is Augusta Precious Metals. Secure your future with tangible assets. Visit SeanBuysGold.com. SeanBuysGold.com. Gold and silver continue to rise. And it's one of those, there's no guarantees in life or in sports or in money, but I'll be damned if gold and precious metals isn't about as close as you're going to get. Text Sean to 35052. Again, there's no guarantees, but there is a guarantee that you'll get educated on precious metals. Again, text Sean to 35052 or go to SeanBuysGold.com. SeanBuysGold.com. Free information, no obligation, guidance, education, and confidence. SeanBuysGold.com.
All right. Thanks to Augusta Precious Metals as always. Sean, we just had some quick breaking Texans news. They have extended kicker Kaimi Fairbairn. He now becomes the highest paid kicker in the league. 2 years, $13 million is the contract extension. Arguably he's definitely a top 3 kicker in the league at the moment. Smart move here for a team that, you know, when you're not expected to battle for a playoff spot, hopefully battle for a Super Bowl. I'm one that I'm like, don't spend big money on a kicker. I don't think that matters much. But when you are a team that is on the cusp, like we've talked about with the Texans, assuming they make a few more moves, having that great kicker that you know in big moments can hit big kicks, and Fairbairn can kick it from a long ways away. Smart move here by the Texans.
Yeah, one snap hook from 47 yards with the playoffs on the line will cost you.
Yes.
I'm all for it. You know, we all joke about kickers and athletes and, well, what do they do? Segs, they don't. I got to do. Listen, players, there's nothing better now. That's a lonely world to live in when you miss. But beyond 50 yards, this guy's been as nasty, meaning good, as there's been in the league for a while. He is great long range, been clutch. I don't have a problem with this at all. You sew up your position. You don't want this to be. Can you imagine sewing up everything else, Segs, and an average kicker revolving door being the reason you don't get to where you want to go? I have no problem with it. What's he say about $7.5 million a year, Segs? I'm okay with it.
6.5.
6.5. I'm okay with it because this tells me that they understand the importance, and I've said it a million times, of not of special teams, but also of moments. And for kickers, those moments, when you talk about how many minutes they actually spend on the field, it may not be many, but those minutes are about as precious as any player in any sport. This is a must. and it's been a guy who's been consistently good for quite a while now. I think this is a good get.
Yeah, for sure. The Cowboys, we mentioned, right before the season started, they traded Micah Parsons to the Green Bay Packers. Got a haul for him, 2 first-round picks, Kenny Clark, and I think another pick in there as well. Well, then what did Jerry do? He looked all around all year long for an edge rusher because his defense was terrible without Micah Parsons. Shocker. Well, they do kind of essentially expand the trade of Micah Parsons. They trade with the Green Bay Packers a 2027 4th-round pick for edge rusher Rashawn Gary, who is under contract for a few more years. Hasn't quite lived up to the hype that he had coming out of Michigan. I thought he was going to be a guy when he went to Green Bay. I was pissed. A Michigan fan and a Bears fan. It always seems like my Michigan players go to the division that is everywhere except my team until finally Colston Loveland. But Rashawn Gary to the Cowboys, how big of an impact can he make, even though he hasn't quite lived up to the hype?
Segs, I think this is a guy you can count on to be a solid player. I don't think he's ever going to live up to the hype that we thought. You and I talked about him when he came out of school.
Yeah.
And, we spent time. But Segs, changing places, as I said earlier, can be an amazing thing. We know as an edge rusher that it just takes a quick start to turn a whole season around for a guy like this, meaning get him in there, you start off, and the Cowboys are trying to upgrade that side of the ball. I mean, they had that guy, and he's in Green Bay. Now they got 2 for the price of 1, and I'm just basically saying from the Packers, even though it's not the same trade. But I like him. I don't love him, Segs. I wouldn't have given up any more than I did for him. But to me, if you're the Green Bay Packers, if you're the Dallas Cowboys, I don't know, would you a 4th-round pick for this guy? To me, the potential in 2026 and 2027 for the Cowboys to be better defensively got better. This guy will be far better than any 4th-round pick in his rookie year that you brought in. So to me, it is an elevation. If he ever lived up to what we thought of him coming out of Michigan, we're looking at a steal by the Dallas Cowboys. The question is, are they going to Dallas to bury themselves, or are you going to Dallas to elevate? We've seen both with the Dallas Cowboys. And if you go in there and give what Pickens did offensively to the defensive side last year when they got him, then you get it. I think Rashawn Gary's a solid, good pick, adds depth, that should be a double-digit sack guy every year, Segs. Should be.
And if you're looking at this edge market, one player who has not been signed that we've talked about a lot is Trey Hendrickson. And I just saw Jonathan Jones tweet something along the lines of, his camp has been in touch with many teams during free agency, and it feels like the price gap for all of them from where Hendrickson's starting to where the team is about $10 million. So, that tells me he's either asking for close to that 30 mark and teams are in the 20, or we're in like the mid-20s to mid-teens. And it'll be interesting to see. Maybe a team like Dallas says, hey, this price has come down a little bit now. Let's match Trey Hendrickson and Rashawn Gary together. Now you have a formidable duo that is going to cost you less than what Micah Parsons was costing you in 1 year. Now, yes, Micah Parsons by himself might be better than the two combined, but if you're Dallas and you can spread it among 2 players that feed off each other, just like you see there in Houston, I think it'd be a smart move for the Cowboys and going to get Trey Hendrickson.
Yeah, and Trey Hendrickson will fall into 12 sack Segs. That's just who he is.
Yep.
That's just who he is. I don't know if 31 years old. I think that's his age, right? I don't think he's 32 yet. If his age bothers you, well, he should be in the prime of his playing career right now. And he should have some incentive considering he's got an opportunity at a payday, but to elevate again. This poor guy's had to go through contract price. It's like every time I turn around, with Cincinnati, he's having trouble getting his deal done. Like last year with Cincinnati, Segs, you remember all the crap they went through with him?
Yep.
I don't know what he's going to get money-wise, but I can tell you this. When you get him, you will not be disappointed. So, yeah, listen, I'm a greedy son of a bitch when it comes to wanting players on my team. Right. If I score 30, I want to be able to score 40. If I got an edge rusher or 2, I want a third one. Yeah. If I can afford, obviously money being part of the process. I think what's going to happen, Segs, if he is asking in that 30 range, he's going to have to come off that And if you're trying to give him 20, you're going to have to come on off that in his direction. Like most things, settle somewhere in the middle and get him into your camp and get him into your team so he's there and ready to go. This is going to end up, the two signings that are going to be huge between now and then are what's going to happen with Trent Williams, as we've discussed, and what the hell is going to go on with Trey Hendrickson. Segs, I guarantee you when people say, hey, man, give me your 5 best edge rushers, 6 best edge rushers. You know who's not getting mentioned most of the time? This dude. He's a fly under the radar, get his done work in silence all the time, and I'll take him. So, yeah, if you're the Cowboys and you get a double and you got 2 guys on the edge, well, you've just made it more difficult for teams in your conference to do it, or in your division as well, to do it twice a year to deal with them. So I think I don't know if prize of the offseason defensively, because Max Crosby is a good player, guys that are moving, but this is that gift you didn't ask for at Christmas, Segs. You didn't put on your list to your parents, and you wake up on Christmas morning and it's under your tree and you're like, oh yeah, this is sweet. This is what and you're playing, and you take that. That's the first gift you start to some game, whatever it is. You're like, this is okay. This shiny toy is pretty cool. Right. And maybe it's a throwback old school, like the old hockey games that I love. Say, you're like, oh man, I had that when I was a kid. Trey Hendrickson gives you that in big time. And I think it's going to end up being a really good offseason signing.
We mentioned Michael Pittman being traded to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Well, you mentioned they couldn't pay both wide receivers. They chose to pay the younger Alec Pierce, who is the better wide receiver right now, in my opinion, to a 4-year, $116 million deal. He gets a monster contract from the Colts. But I think the bigger story here is Daniel Jones. What are they going to do there in Indy with Daniel Jones? They put the transition tag on him, $37.8 million or so, in that range for the 1 year. But they've been talking contract, and supposedly the Colts are, in that 35 to 40 range for Daniel Jones per year over a long term, probably a 4 year deal. Daniel Jones wants 50 plus. If you're the Colts, would you rather have Daniel Jones at 50 plus $million a year, or maybe someone like Kyler Murray on a veterans minimum of 1.3 million? Now the difference is you've already put the transition tag on him, but Daniel Jones wants 50 plus $1 million. Is he worth that right now?
No. Segs, this to me, listen, Daniel Jones is worth more than 30. I think that he's upgraded the room there and upgraded that football team. But let's stop. I've seen the movie before. I like Daniel Jones, Segs. I do. I think he's a good player, and I think he's proven that. And nobody's been kicked in the mouth by what he's gone through. He gets drafted, and they blamed it on him that the Giants took him in the first 10 picks of 6 or 7. Yeah. It's like, dude, what am I supposed to do? Not show up? I'm the first. And then he has performed extremely well when it comes to, has done his job. He had to get that first contract that he got, Segs, when he was in New York with Dave, elevated, got into the playoffs. Yeah. And then we saw what he did in Indianapolis until the injury. But here's the key. While I like Daniel Jones, let's not go overboard. If that talk is true, $55 million or 50 plus million should be reserved for the elite players in this league. Craziness, though, is we're talking 60 to 70, 75 million in the next couple of years for the elite quarterback, the top 3 or 5. So in that question, if you ask me, Kyler Murray for minimum salary and Arizona's paying, or Daniel Jones for 50 plus, give me Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
But Daniel Jones is a better quarterback. Kyler Murray is a better talent. And right now, and Daniel Jones is not a headache, but this can be a headache, Segs. While I love him, let's slow our roll here. Don't price yourself out of a starting job, because if you do, and they all of a sudden transition tag, somebody comes in and matches the transition, and you go, that would mean, obviously, if somebody matches it and you leave, then they want you to be the starter. But Segs, in his position, just a year ago before he got to Indianapolis, he was a backup quarterback.
Yeah.
Let's slow down a little bit, man. Both sides. Pay him, you transition tag, get him a good deal that's worth it. It pays him where he should be paid. If you're Daniel Jones, I'm sorry to tell you, you haven't earned 50 to 55 million a year. You've earned some upgrade in your salary and a longer term of it. You have not earned 50. Hence why the transition tag says they want another year of it. They want another year of health to see what he can bring to the table. I don't blame him. I would not pay him 50 plus. He's not worth it. Would I pay him 40? I would. That extra 10 million is too much for me to stretch. Because Siggs, if he goes and has 3 bad games to start, what are we all going to say? Well, welcome to Tua and welcome to all these other contracts. Listen, go prove it to me one more year. Then we can have this conversation over it, the transition. Because Siggs, if he goes and plays well this year, right, and nobody comes in and matches that offer, and it gets him into the playoffs, he won't have to worry about $50 million next year. Right. He'll be able to ask for more.
Yeah,
because he's in the prime of his career. He's right at the stage where you're like, this is where you start to dominate. What are we, 6-7 years in with him? Siggs, 8 years, somewhere in there,
somewhere in that range,
somewhere like that. So he's right. But go do your thing, back it up, and then go get big. $50 million will be low for you next year if you go perform the way contracts rise. So, he's not. To me, as much as I like the guy, he's not worth that kind of money, and that discrepancy would be way too much. And I put the rest of my team in a bind having to pay a guy a long-term 50 plus. He's going to have to come off that if that's true. I love his confidence. That's too much money.
Yeah, a couple more topics here, and they're kind of coincide with each other when it comes to NFL free agency. The Panthers make a big move. This is a team that I think is up and coming, and it's really going to depend on Bryce Young and how much can he elevate his game. He has weapons there. Now he's got another great defender on that defense. They go get Jalen Phillips for 4 years, $120 million. They pay him as a pass rusher to go with Derek Brown and company on that defensive line. I really like what the Panthers have done here. Do you think this is the team that can come in and say, okay, Tampa, we saw what you did last year. We one-upped you. Can they extend their, let's just say, lead in the NFC South this year with getting Jalen Phillips and continuing to get better play from Bryce Young as he gets more into this offense?
Absolutely. If you're telling me right now, Sean, you have to pick a team that you think can win this division, that you feel the best about in the division. You know my affinity for Baker Mayfield's grind and for the way that team gets after it. I would take Carolina today. If we were picking our division, Segs, I'm taking Carolina today. Now, the most talented offense resides, at least on the perimeter, in Atlanta. Atlanta's got some perimeter people that are really good. The veteran grinder, get the most out of Baker Mayfield with what he's done. New Orleans is a riser, but like you said, a year, maybe 2 away from being where we go into the offseason saying that's the team to beat. Carolina's upgraded. Bryce Young got kicked in the mouth as a rookie, as most do, and didn't go into the tank, learned, did his thing. And I really like the way that they're coached, Segs. I do. And when's the last time you looked at the front office and the ownership in Carolina and said, the owners come in? I mean, they've been a little bit wacko, right?
Right.
This is a good get. That is a damn good football player. You have just now elevated your defense with an all-pro, Pro Bowl type player. And I use Pro Bowl. I hold Pro Bowl in higher regard than a flag football game.
Yeah,
and I
like
think
we talk about it as a true
elevated player, right?
Yes.
Worth it. I think it's a good get. I think Carolina with another year of elevation by Bryce Young and under the coach and adding defensive help going into right now, I'd be hard pressed to not take the Carolina Panthers right now to win the division. May change, and I don't think they're done obviously with the draft this offseason, but they're doing it the right way. And Carolina's got a quarterback that some people quit on during his rookie year, which is stupid to quit on any quarterback or put him in the Hall of Fame as a rookie. Look at it. Young's going this way, and we've seen Stroud, the first two, go a little bit south. I mean, when I say south, Six, he hadn't gotten better the last 2 years. He's kind of flattened out. He needs to elevate with that potential. Bryce Young's gotten better considering where he was his rookie year. So, yeah, I do. I think this is good, and this is a good football player that, okay, he knows what Philadelphia and what winning culture looks like. Carolina's on the cusp, and we know what they did to get in late last season, but they're getting better, and I like the fact that they went out and paid a big price for a defensive player that could come in and immediately elevate your front seven.
Yeah, and another guy they brought in was Devin Lloyd, the linebacker from Jacksonville, who's one of the better linebackers in football. So we
didn't even give that guy a talk for a second, right?
Right.
No doubt.
You add those two to Derek Brown, Tershawn Wharton, Nick Scorton, who's the rookie edge rusher out of Texas A&M, who I think has a lot of talent, will show up at some point. And then you have J.C. Horn, who's one of the best cornerbacks in the league. So, I mean, that defense
They're
is
one of the best
loaded.
rising young defenses in the
Yes.
league.
Yes.
When you start to look, you just name the personnel. Now, have them put it all together. Remember how we were, I'm not saying they're there. They're not where the Texans are now. But remember when they went out and got Stingley, and then they added Will Anderson, and they went and got Daniil Hunter. What did we say? Ooh, the team looks like they're starting to elevate. Yeah. They got pieces. Then all 11 could line up and play. I feel like Carolina is trying to do the same thing. Give me an edge rusher. Give me another a linebacker. We got a back end guy who's really good. We add another player here. It looks to me, and you got Derek Brown. You've got some guys that you're starting to say, we're building a really fresh, young, energetic defense. This is a really, really good signing this offseason that may be overlooked nationally because it's Carolina. Put it this way, Segs, if this guy went to Kansas City or the Rams or one of those or Seattle, people would be going crazy saying, how'd they pull this off? Good get by Carolina.
Yeah. And before we get to a story about what somebody said that was so stupid, and it's someone that I have liked in the past, and he played for one of my teams.
If we're going where I think we are, Shakes, he's been a buddy of mine and a great supporter of mine. But this was, dude, just turn the mic off and reconsider if that's where we're headed with this.
But before we get to that, we just talked about Jalen Phillips. A really quick one I ask you about the Philadelphia Eagles. You lose Nakobe Dean. You lose Jalen Phillips. You lose Reed Blankenship to the Texans. You lost Jahan Dotson, the wide receiver, when you still don't know what's going on with A.J. Brown. You've lost guys like Jadarius Smith and Josh Uche. You've lost a bunch of pieces in your front seven that was so feared. There's been talk of them quietly shopping Jalen Carter after Jordan Davis gets a massive extension. What do you think's going on in Philly? They have not signed a player yet. They're one of, I think, 3 or 4 teams in the NFL that has not signed a player in free agency yet, or quote unquote signed, because they can't technically sign till tomorrow. But they have not agreed to a deal with anybody while losing all this talent. What do you think about the Philadelphia Eagles and where things stand right now?
Segs, now think about this now. You just mentioned all those really good names. There's been an exodus going on, right? You know what this is? This is what we talked about when we said, talking about the Texans. You go get a guy like Trent Williams, because in 2 years or less, or maybe 3 years, you're going to have to start to understand that people are going to start to leave. You can't pay them. You just can't. They're facing that now with the quarterback and edge rusher, which we talked about in Houston. You know who this is, Sakes? This is the NFL when you've had great success and they get to a point. I can make the argument that Howie Roseman's been the best general manager in the league the last 3 or 4 years, maybe longer, depending on what you look at. He's been really good, and he's always been active. Take a look at what they've lost. Now, what you think? Think Seahawks, Legion of Boom. You know what I'm saying? Sakes could get after the quarterback, tackle you in the secondary, did everything right. But eventually, what happens, Sakes? One guy, Richard Sherman leaves, and then middle linebacker leaves, and then the corner leaves, and then a safety, a box. I mean, then they separate and go elsewhere, and you've taken a step back. You start to look at those names. Now let me add this to you. Barkley, while a great player, production fell off last year. Jalen Hurts, even though he's been a Super Bowl MVP and been great, people question if he's a system guy and can he elevate that big game, but that their passing game suffers. And it does, even though I think he's a great leader and a really good player and a winner. He's not going to lead the league in passing ever, Segs. You're not going to drop back and throw it like they didn't want it, right? And then you start to look at, Lane Johnson was banged up. You start to look at this team, and if some of these other things happen and you're getting the exodus of people you have, and you're trying to get your offense rolling again, and now the A.J. Brown thing looming, Segs, they could go from a playoff Super Bowl team to what the hell happened. They still got good players. But if the production doesn't pick up, A.J. wasn't happy with the production. Saquon Barkley, like we said, fell off. Jalen Hurts elevated. You're taking away what has been the core of their team, and that's been getting after the pass rusher when they won the Super Bowl 2 years and dominating physical in the run game and moving you on the offensive line. Yeah. Well, you're starting to slowly, and it's sometimes even faster than that, start to see this team's key and core players pulled away and either traded or moving on. Keep an eye on the Philadelphia Eagles. Are they the best team in the division as we sit today? The fact that you're thinking about it makes me tell you they are, but I'm going to tell you, Segs, they can't keep doing this. Howie's got to have a plan, but I'm sitting here thinking, what is it?
But real quick,
what is it for this team?
Which team do you look at as the second right now? We have the Eagles in first right now. Who's second? That, I think, is the more interesting question.
Eagles, Giants, Cowboys, and it ain't Washington. They've got some moving to do. The Giants, I think, have elevated with Harbaugh, and they've got a good young nucleus of offensive players and some defensive players in their front. They're a riser, Segs. Let's say that. I would probably still say Philadelphia, but they're about a player away or two that leave, or you trade a guy like A.J. Brown and me saying they may be the chase team this year. Those windows don't stay open like New England's did for all those years. And we can't say that's just not normal. Yep. If you can hover, it's one thing. But when you start to see guys, we talk about Nakobe Dean. Segs, his leadership and just ability to fly around and hit people, those type of things. And if a couple other trades that you mentioned on the defense and an A.J. Brown move, if that happens, it is going to be weird going into this season thinking just a year and a half removed from the Super Bowl champions, right? Just 2 Super Bowls ago, they're winning it again. But are they the same team? And you know what this will do, Segs, if that happens? They're going to put more pressure on the offense to have to do stuff that maybe they're not comfortable with. Yeah. Anxious to see what Howie's got in. I trust him, but I'm anxious to see what Howie's got in mind as he moves forward through the rest of free agency and the draft.
All right. Just checking something real fast because one of our commenters says that the Texans have signed an offensive tackle. Yeah, according to Diana Rossini 3 minutes ago, former Colts offensive tackle Braden Smith is signing with the Texans on a 2-year deal. This was kind of a cap casualty / the Colts were ready to move on from Braden Smith. Still a solid player. I like it. I think it's going to be interesting to see what they do here with this offensive line with Ursary, who has been at left tackle. I'm trying to look up.
I don't think this is a
Smith.
I think this starts to make the Trent Williams thing not there. So
yeah, no, yes. I think
they can provide with 5 solid guys, or when I say 5 solid guys that were there last year, you try to upgrade, you get rid of, and adding, signing Ed Ingram, and then getting to the point where you add Braden Smith, that they believe that's good enough. The question is it dominant enough? He's been a good player, a solid player, and you mentioned cap casualty. So it helps them. There's no doubt, Segs, but does it make them dominant? That's the question you got to ask yourself. And to me, a dominant offensive line gets you late in January and sometimes to February.
And again here, Braden Smith's a right tackle. That's what he's played his entire career in Indy. So you have Ursary there. You have Braden Smith at right tackle. You see here it's a $25 million deal with 13.5 fully guaranteed over the 2 years. But you gave Trent Brown $7 million, and I'm maybe I'm wrong, but I don't look at Trent Brown as a guy that, I could throw left or right. I think Trent Brown's a right tackle and a right tackle only. I don't know that you could put him at left guard. I don't know you can put him at right guard. I don't know that Trent Brown's that guy. I think, he's a monster. Sometimes guys are too big to slide inside. And we've seen teams try with Mekhi Becton. Philly had it. They did it okay with him, but then they let him go right away because they didn't feel like he fit well. Went to the Chargers. They've already cut him after 1 year. So I don't know what they're doing with Trent Brown, and that $7 million could go towards something else that they need in left guard or something else. So I do like the Braden Smith move as kind of a filler at right tackle. He's better than the guy Trent Brown, definitely better than him. So it's an upgrade there, but you still have that gaping hole at left guard. So I like the move. But there's still a hole, and I still need more.
Yeah, Segs, the question is, let's just say this is who they are this year. Right now, after this break, but this is who they are. What you got to figure out is with those 5 cats up front, can one of these tackles play inside? And the truth is, depth-wise, it's rare that all 5 play all season, right? So depth does matter because you don't want when a guy goes out to say, we are screwed. We just got a warm body we're putting in there. The question here is, does Nick Caserio and D'Amico Ryans and this team believe that you can take one of those cats on the outside like this guy? Who knows, Segs, but if you have an overabundance of tackles in the interior for a quarterback who doesn't want people at his feet because he's a pocket guy and C.J. Stroud, do you believe that one of these cats can move inside and solidify that? Because I'm one of those guys that wants my 5 best on the field. I don't care. If I can move them around, fine. Now I don't want to move them around every week, Segs, but off-season, OTAs, training camp, can I get comfortable enough with a guy who's a normal tackle, move him inside where he says, I got this, man. You put me right here, my hands in the dirt, I'm interior, I'm good to go. I need my 5 best. When you make a move like this, which gives you now those 3 tackles, 3 starters looking for 2 spots, Segs. So what does that tell you? Possibly one of them they believe, and who knows? It may be the left tackle now. Usri, it may be him, Ursary. So you move somebody inside. But I want my 5 best. The question is the guy swing enough where he can swing both sides of the tackle, but also can he put his hand in the dirt inside and deal with that interior? Because I need my 5 best. I don't want 4 best and one guy and then the other guy who should be starting, even though he's out of position, sitting over there on the sidelines. That's something they're going to have to deal with. I do like the upgrade, though. We've been talking about O-line, and no sooner have we talked about it than 15 minutes later, they've got another deal done.
Yep, and he's 20. He will be, let's see, March 25th. So basically 2 weeks, he will turn 30. So right in the
Perfect
middle,
age. He's good, man. Yeah, knows the division too. So
solid, knows the division, solid player. All right, before we get out of here, we got to show this video. I saw this and I sent it to our group chat, and I'm just like, what is going on? It hurt my head listening to Jalen Rose talk about sports and talk about, it brought the race card into it when it comes to salary cap and used
was the slavery word used?
Yes, the slavery word was used. Bailey, just go ahead and run it and just listen to this. And then Sean, you come out and just react to this stupidity.
Only sports that have salary caps are black leg. Wow. First off. So that's basketball and football. Those are only sports with salary cap. Baseball, golf, NASCAR, tennis, you can keep naming. They do not have a salary. That's the first thing.
Holy shit.
He's correct. The second thing is they have no after high school restriction. So that's a residue of slavery. Is because we're going to get money off of you for multiple years for free.
Well, I do believe that when you say you couldn't go right out of high school, white guys go out of high school too. Listen, I don't judge my feelings for a guy based on somebody else's feelings. I've had phenomenal conversations, and I've always held him in high regard. He's always treated me spectacular.
Yeah.
And last time I saw him, we were coming and going in the airport. What's up, my man? I do, Segs. I have an affinity. I like Jalen. I do. Mm-hmm. It doesn't mean, heck, I like you, and we may not agree with everything we say. And like, it happens. This is dumb. Okay, this is just dumb. One off is, I am quite tired, and I don't care what color your skin is, when we talk sports and all the contracts and slavery. We don't talk about it with roofers that are out busting their ass, or construction workers, or city workers, or social workers. A sport that is hard to play, basketball, football, whatever the sport is, hard to play, hard to earn a living. It's very difficult. But when rookies in the NFL can come in their first rookie salary $750, spare me the slavery talk, please. Stop it, because that just incites nonsense. Love Jalen, hate this take. Secondly, okay, I got a great idea. If that's what we're gonna parallel slavery to the fact that a guy can't go out, but he's still going to get $30 million. And I don't know. Do we have a salary cap in the NHL, Segs? We do, correct?
Yes. All
right, salary cap in the
predominantly
NHL.
White.
With a lot of white dudes in the. So if we're talking that football and basketball are black sports, I think it's unfair because there's white, just like it wouldn't be hockey while it's white. We do have African Americans that have been damn good playing that sport. Regardless, he mentioned golf, tennis. Well, if we want to do this, Jay, I'll make you a deal. If you're worried about it being looked at, well, this is slavery, not letting them go. How many guys are actually ready to go play pro sports out of high school, especially football? None. The maturity, they're not ready. They may be talented. They ain't ready, okay? They'll be out of the league in 3 years. But so the one thing, and stop the apples to oranges comparison about a golf or tennis. Here's what golfers do in the PGA Tour. They don't get 1 ounce of salary. They got to go earn the meritocracy. They got to go earn it every week.
So
Tennis
if you
is
want
the
to
same
switch
way.
to football, damn right. So if you want to switch to football and let them do whatever they want and not put a salary cap on them, then let's take a bunch of their money away and say everything you do is going to be incentive laced. Everybody gets minimum salary, and we're going to incentive late. You come out when you're in the 4th grade if you want. If you think you're good enough to play, great. I have no problem. This is dumb. I don't know why people use here's 2 phrases that I can't stand, Segs. When I hear people compare something in life and they'll throw Hitler in there. Stop it. Just friggin' stop it. One of the worst humans ever. Stop it. And sports and slavery don't go hand in hand, because slavery was a serious thing. It's like when we talk, Segs, the race car. When you overuse it and play that all the time, whoever those guys are out there, you know what it does? It takes away from when real race issues need to be talked about. Sports ain't it. Sports ain't it. Slavery and sports ain't it. Are we all bummed that you're under contract? Well, if I'm under contract for $25 million and I didn't have to get to come out in high school, I don't think that's slavery. That's just called business. Just like it would in the radio business. If you're under contract, can't go anywhere else. All right. If you don't like the fact that you can't leave after you're 18, the truth of the matter is we're saving players from themselves, Sayings. We just are. We just are. So don't compare it to golf, because if we want to go the golf way, great. I'm all for making it all incentive-based, pay these guys minimum salary, and say, if you're good, we'll pay you. We're not paying you $55 million to throw the ball to the other team and get cut and go make minimum somewhere else. And in basketball, those guys are a little more, 18-year-olds can go into the NBA and dominate, but out of high school, they're usually not Kobe or LeBron. Most of them would get lost in the shuffle. So for me, or Kevin Garnett, I just love Jalen, hate this comment. Stop using slavery when it comes to all that money, pro sports. How about talking to the real world out there, who the thought of making $750 grand a year would be more than my dad made in 8 years doing construction. Matter of fact, I may be cheating my dad out about 15 years, right? Yeah. Or your dad is a police officer. Saying, so just stop. And it's just dumb. And call them black sports. And Jalen knows better. He's a good guy. He is. I like Jalen. This take, it reeks of hit a click button so we can debate it. This ain't it. Slavery ain't it. And talking about, well, there's a salary cap. Well, I don't think that now there's some stupid decisions made by executives in the world, Segs, and the grown-ups that sit in the room for any of these sports or life. But you know what I don't think they sit in that room and talk about? Here's what, guys. Let's do this. Let's make sure we put a salary cap on basketball and football because, well, African Americans play.
Yeah.
That I'm sorry to tell you, that's not happening. And secondly, I can throw in baseball, Segs. There's a lot of non-white guys playing baseball as well. Yeah. I'm talking about whether it's Venezuelan, whether it's South America, Puerto Rico. Dominican. It doesn't. Right. So listen, I understand everybody wants to defend the athlete. I think the athlete's been defended plenty. We just talked about Daniel Jones about to pop into. He wants $50 million for a guy who's been an average player in the league. Good player, but that'd be great. So this ain't it. And at what point in time are we going to quit referring the H word to that horrible leader in Germany? Yeah. Okay, that wasn't a leader. He was like, well, he's Satan. And at what point are we going to stop playing the race card when it doesn't need to be played? Play it when it does. And at what point are we going to stop referring to sports and making that kind of money as slavery? Because I can tell you this: there ain't one person that went through slavery that was making $27 million a year. Segs. They had a rough road, and a rough road that was horrible. Sports isn't slavery. Sports gives most of us everything we ever wanted. And slavery and sports should not go together. If you want to say salary caps suck, go for it. But you're saving yourself from it. Football players and basketball players, for the majority, ain't ready to walk off a high school campus and go play pro sports. That's not slavery. It's called being smart and protecting these players from themselves.
And a few other things. Nobody's making these guys play these sports. Nobody's making them come play.
Voluntary, brother.
So, yeah, I mean, it's voluntary. Nobody's making you play basketball or football.
You were forced in slavery. Yes. That was horrible times. And it's almost a disgrace to compare the two. It really is. For a guy that I really like.
It's fucking stupid. That's what it is. He mentions tennis and golf. Individual sports. How would you salary cap that? You can't. Sorry.
Well,
And
not only
like you
that,
said,
they go into
based
it every
on-
year.
Yeah.
You can be good and get your ass kicked every week, and you're not getting the first place
Nothing.
check.
Yeah.
I mean, you get beat in the early rounds at Wimbledon, and you're oh my gosh, I got beaten in the round of 32. Well, guess what, buddy? You get your ass kicked 47 times in a basketball game and flop all you want if you're players in the court, and you still get that check still showing up. So to compare like that, if you want to make a meritocracy and not give them go for it. Watch how quickly they're begging for salary cap again. It's crazy. And
the other thing,
stop it, man. Just friggin' stop it.
NBA and NFL. NBA in 1983 is when the salary cap started. It was collectively bargained with the players union. It was a collectively bargained negotiation that this is what they came up with. So don't be mad at
guys in that negotiation, Segs. There's white and black.
Yes.
And they didn't think slavery was any part of it. Right?
That's when Magic and Kareem were at their highest in 1983. They were winning championships, and they all voted to add a salary cap. NFL was 1994, so you would have been in the league when the salary cap started, right? 94 would have been your last or second to last year.
Second to last year.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it was voted, collectively bargained again in a negotiation. That's why there's a salary cap. It's not like whoever was it, Tagliabue back then in 94. It's not like he came in and said, damn it, we're doing a salary cap. I don't care. I make the decision. We're doing a salary cap, and here's the number. And you guys can pay your players however you want, but you got to be under this number. It wasn't decided like that. It was collectively bargained. So your quote unquote black sports, it was a negotiation. Don't be mad at baseball because their players union has stood up every CBA negotiation and said the one thing we're not giving in is the salary cap. We will never give a salary cap, and we're about to have a stoppage next season because of this same thing. The owners want a salary cap, and the players are like, no, we will sit on our ass for an entire season and not take the salary cap, and the owners will eventually give in.
When you make $300 to $500 million instead of making $100 million, it's easy to miss the season because you can afford. Your dad couldn't afford it. My dad couldn't.
Right.
Say two things, and this will be it. I know we got to go.
Yeah.
One is hell. Baseball needs a salary cap. They need one, but the players union stronger than our football players union. It always has been. It always has been. And secondly, I made $82,500 my rookie year. 82.5. I thought I was rich, dude. My pops never made that kind of money in a year. 82.5. Damn, after taxes and the rest, by the time I went back my second year, I needed a paycheck, right? After you take out taxes, I'm not rich, but 82.5. Now, you can't make anything less than what's the minimum? 600-700 grand now, somewhere in that range. It doesn't matter.
40.
You cannot make anything less than that, or you're cheating the system. You can't. So think about that. That's $800,000 as a rookie. Make the team. You can't make any less than that. That's not a bad gig, right, Segs? Minimum salary. That's a pretty good get. So now we got to stop using the term slavery when it comes to pro sports. Nothing like it. You mean you don't want a salary cap because you want everybody to make $4 billion. Well, that's not reality. And pro sports, quite frankly, has gotten so out of hand, and college sports, that none of it's reality. So while I love Jalen, this wasn't the comment to have, and this was not a good take.
Yeah, it was just stupidity. But, some of these guys just continue to stick their foot in their mouth, and it never seems to surprise me.
Pro sports brought me everything, a broadcasting job after, because it opened up doors. So, you know what, while we can argue over salary caps, we don't like them or do, but the comparisons that some people make are just completely disrespectful to those who had to go through those issues. It's awful. And Jalen knows better because he's a smart guy. He is. I promise you.
For sure. All right. When we come back tomorrow, we'll talk more NFL free agency. We'll talk about the World Baseball Classic that's been going on. Has been fun as hell to watch. Watching those, the Dominican and Puerto Rico and Venezuela, watching them play baseball and their fans and the way they play, it just makes you smile. I mean, they have more fun playing this sport than anybody else in the world. The Japanese are really damn good at it. Shohei's a freak. the Murakami kid that's coming over to the White Sox, he hit a grand slam last night that is still going, but it's been fun. U.S. gets Mexico last night, 5-3. Paul Skeens is just, stupid good. Bobby Witt Jr., stupid good. Aaron Judge, stupid good. So we'll talk about that, and we've got the tournament portion of it coming up. So I think starts Friday. So we'll talk about that and maybe just talk a little baseball, what you expect this season, Sean, from your Red Sox. Probably finish last. It's just that's what they do. Red Sox, terrible. Garbage.
Every time I think they're terrible, they come along. But I'm going to hold out hope since we're in spring training section.
Yeah, it's one of those times of year you just everybody hopes their baseball team's going to be good. Mine's going to suck again, so I'll just bring everybody down with me. All right, we'll be back tomorrow. Get over to YouTube, like and subscribe at Unpaved Sean Salisbury. Follow him at Sean Unfiltered. Myself at Adam G. Sager. Thanks to Bailey, Laura, all our listeners, viewers, commenters. We don't do it without you. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern, noon Central. Peace.
Unpaved Sean Salisbury here. We're bringing authentic, real stuff to you. Hardcore opinion.
Sean Salisbury, a great NFL analyst, a former NFL quarterback.